Help. Me hit 1,000 subscribers. I never imagined that a Saturday night could shift everything in my marriage. Yet, that's exactly what happened. I'm Milo, 38, married to Clara for 11 years. We've had our share of ups and downs, but I always believed we had a steady bond built on trust, humor, and a quiet love that didn't need grand gestures. It all started with a casual invite from her best friend, Daphne. They were hosting a small gathering at her townhouse. Just a few co-workers and old friends. I wasn't exactly excited. I prefer quiet nights at home, but I wanted to spend time with Clara, see her smile, and meet some of her friends properly. The party was warm and lively, soft music in the background, gentle laughter floating around. Clara looked radiant in an emerald green dress, hair pinned elegantly, like a painting I could barely believe was real. She moved through the room with that effortless charm, greeting everyone, laughing, lighting up the space. I tried to join the conversation, but my attempt at humor didn't land. I was used to it. Clara always drew the attention, and I had long accepted being slightly in her shadow. Then she made that joke. Speaking to Daphne, laughing lightly, she glanced at me with a teasing smirk. He's banned from my bed now. The room went quiet for a heartbeat. I laughed it off, assuming she was joking or being dramatic. But Daphne's reaction stopped me cold. She leaned in, voice low, sharp enough to cut through pretense. "Oh, Milo, you have no idea what's coming, do you?" Something in her tone made my stomach churn. I tried to brush it off, smile, but the weight of her words lingered. Daphne had always been polite, careful, never someone to stir trouble. But now, her eyes held knowing seriousness I couldn't ignore. For the next hour, I felt like an outsider in my own marriage. Clara moved through the party effortlessly, chatting, laughing, yet her laughter sounded distant. Every glance she threw my way carried a weight I hadn't felt before. When we finally had a quiet moment, I asked softly, "Clara, what did you mean by that joke?" She rolled her eyes, shrugging playfully. "It's nothing, Milo, just a joke." But her eyes told a different story, a flicker of hesitation, a subtle distance I had never noticed before. That joke wasn't just humor, it was a signal. Later, Daphne sat beside me on the couch, calm but direct. "Milo, you need to know something. Clara has been pulling away for months. Tonight made it clear she's not just stressed. She's not interested in closeness anymore." I felt a weight settle in my chest. It wasn't disbelief or shock. It was quiet, heavy clarity. I had ignored small signs over the years. Nights when she pretended to sleep, casual dismissals, polite but distant responses. Daphne's words made everything painfully clear. This wasn't about one joke. It was about a pattern, a gradual withdrawal I had overlooked. By the end of the night, I forced smiles, laughed when expected, nodded at conversations I barely heard. Inside, I cataloged every glance, every laugh, searching for the moment I missed, the moment she had stopped truly being present with me. The next morning, I woke early, sunlight streaming through the blinds. Clara was still asleep, back turned to me, and for the first time, the distance between us felt tangible. I made coffee and sat quietly, reflecting on Daphne's warning, the joke, and all the subtle shifts I had ignored. When Clara finally emerged, cheerful and oblivious of the tension, I offered a small smile, words failing me. Later, I met Daphne at a quiet cafe. She didn't soften her words. She's moved on emotionally. That joke, it was a signal, not humor. She's no longer sharing that space with you. Her words stung, but they brought clarity. I realized my love alone wasn't enough to bridge the gap. If she couldn't reciprocate, protecting my heart became my responsibility. That evening, over dinner, Clara spoke animatedly about her day. I listened, nodded, smiled when appropriate, but inside I began planning. Not confrontation, not revenge, just action. A few days later, I told Clara calmly, "I need some space." "I think we both do." She looked surprised, confused, but didn't resist. Her quiet acknowledgement carried more weight than any argument ever could. In the weeks that followed, I reclaimed my life. I revisited hobbies, reconnected with friends, started jogging, even joined a photography group. Each small step was deliberate, healing, a quiet reclaiming of my own self-worth. At another gathering hosted by Daphne, Claire was there, but the atmosphere had shifted. She noticed a calm, quiet strength in me. Daphne offered a subtle nod across the room. Unspoken approval, a recognition that I had faced the truth and chosen myself. There were no dramatic confrontations, no tears or shouting, just a quiet realization that a chapter had ended. And in that stillness, I felt relief, peace, and a newfound clarity. Love isn't always about holding on when it's slipping away. Sometimes it's about stepping back, honoring your worth, and choosing yourself. I had loved fully, honestly, and that love deserved acknowledgement, even if it wasn't returned. That night, as the city lights reflected on wet streets after a sudden rain, I understood I wasn't losing love. I was gaining clarity. I wasn't broken. I was stepping into a life entirely my own, awake, alive, and ready for whatever came next. Help. Me hit 1,000 subscribers.